Mr. Mark Faust.
Alan, I just want to thank you for putting me right after Mr. Sunshine. Oh my gosh, what a way to kick off the day. Actually, that was, I think, a good dichotomy for what we got here, because there is a strategic value to doing what's called potential problem analysis. And we as a group, as peer groups, as individual teams, need to be doing that more systematically. We got an opportunity there. But on the flip side, I got to describe to you what my goal is here today. We are talking about ideation, and I will explain exactly what does that word, another kind of, Alan, let's share that word together. That's an Alanism, right? So ideation, I'm going to define exactly what that means and how it's going to make you money. But I have one goal for every team, and even you visitors. You're a visitor, right?
New team.
New team. Oh, welcome. Who are all the visitors right now? Raise your hands. You're going to get a taste of what these conferences are all about. Because every team in here, our goal today, my promise to you, with follow-ups, worksheets, and actions that are going to happen, is that we're here to identify literally 6 figures of incremental profit or more that you're going to add to your bottom line, Aaron, and your bottom line, and your bottom line throughout this conference. Because we got to get a return on this investment, don't we? All right? I have no doubt that every one of you can, most all of you will, and all you prospective members, most of which are going to join, I am sure, are going to get that benefit out of this conference this week. And here's why. I was blessed to get to talk, again, I've talked to most members, but in the last few weeks, I called up people like the Odins or Aaron or whoever it may be, Justin there, and I would ask a handful of questions with the objective around improving this thing called participation. So for your prospective members here, this is another Alanism, these words that we might not be sure what they really mean, but participation has to do with taking advantage of all the different areas of value that FFG uniquely offers. That literally, as Mr. Participation Kyle Mayman will talk about throughout this week, if you take advantage of all of them synergistically, can have multi-million-dollar impact on your business, as they have with many dozens of businesses here in this room. So, as I'm talking to folks, I had the pleasure to begin with Tim Emmerich back there. And Tim, I asked the question of him. I said, Tim, what are some of the highest value areas of participation that you've experienced at your farm? You know, what unique aspects of FFG's offerings have made you the most money? And so Tim waxes poetic, and he gives me several areas, of which, at the end of my session, you're all going to get a handout here. I call this the Profit Pack. 25 pages, 8,000 words. You can read it in 20 minutes. And one of your actionables here is you and your spouse are going to read this together, and even the top teams and even the prospective teams get to look at this. And we have the pictures, so you get to know who actually said this, the phone number and the emails, so you can actually follow up and find out, hey, could this apply to me? So that's one of the most important actionables. If you're going to make this week pay off, like the peer groups have paid off to the tunes of 7 figures for so many people here in this room, you've got to read this in the next 24 hours. And the two of you have got to talk about it, and you got to hold him accountable, don't you?
Done.
You're going to go shopping, aren't you?
I am.
I can see it. See, guys, there is power in the women in this group. And that's a perfect segue, because while I was talking to Tim, he says, you know, Mark, you really need to talk to, and I'm going to mention somebody who's one of the best farmers in this group. They're one of the best managers in this group. And you probably think his name, no, it's Betsy. It's Betsy Emmerich. And what they told me was a story about a meeting I happened to be at in December of last year. And Kyle and the other GM members were there at the GM group. Jeff flashed me in to speak on incentives. In fact, I said, Betsy, are those meetings really that worthwhile to you? Oh my God, Mark, let me get started. Don't get me started. And she went on, and 10 minutes later, I was in awe. I knew I had it. I mean, that was the tipping point for the enthusiasm I have here for this week. She shared with me, she said, Mark, that one meeting alone, we are already realizing 6-figure impact to our bottom line. Your idea on incentives is only going to cost us, if they achieve their goals, a few $1,000s per employee. But our wheat yields right now, we already know there is 6, potentially 7-figure impact we had from that one. It kills me, Mark. I couldn't go to the meeting 3 weeks ago. And that just eats me up, right, Betsy? I mean, that's how passionate you were about this. Guys, that's Betsy right back there. You need to be talking to that girl. She's smart, all right? And so she went on about 3 or 4 different areas, one of which they cleaned up their shop. $48,000 in cash back in returns they found. That was one of the ideas somebody shared that day. The innovation idea, the couple different things. Bottom line, guys, we are sitting on a gold mine, and we aren't even that good at what we are really all about. In fact, I want to go to the third little opening point here before we get into ideation, and that is, what is our strategic position? What gives us positioning power as a group, as a movement, whatever you want to refer to our purpose and mission as, where do we have strategic advantage? And you know what's interesting? You know, at Harvard, Michael Porter would call it competitive advantage. And Tom Peters would say, you know, competitive advantage is only temporal, you know, people. There really is no such thing as a defensible competitive advantage. You've got an advantage for a blue ocean for a few nanoseconds, and then somebody comes in. But guys, what we have that's very unique is we are the only organization in the world that has literally decades and decades of financial information, of accounting best practices. We can mitigate risks in one of the riskiest businesses in the world in a way that nobody else can touch. And yet, even the guys who swear by the HPAs and the ASI tools and all that stuff, in fact, one of the testimonials, I believe it's Matt Norman, who says everyone in here should be doing that HPA. It is so valuable. And I am so glad to write that check to pay for that because I get an ROI on it that's a no-brainer. Well, guess what? It's part of being a member. So now I'm glad to hear that everybody's going to be doing that. But the value of that wealth of information is where the source of our power is. And we really don't promulgate that very well. We have not leveraged, it's a competitive uniqueness. And when you have something that nobody else has, you are unstoppable. As long as you're moving in the right directions, you know who your customers are, your ideal customers, and you're aligned, that you're participating as one. And we're not anywhere near there yet. And guys, this is profit on the table for you to get. So let's come back to what some of those ideas are. I'm going to go through a explanation of ideation and get out a fresh sheet of paper, and across the top, or at the very top center, you can write ideation. And you're going to have 3 columns here. But ideation is just a created, coined word, an Alanism of Alan and I's thought. And the 3 words that create this word are idea, creation, and implementation. Write those 3 in 3 columns across the top. Idea, creation, and implementation. So yes, we could call this innovation, but innovation is a bit too complex sometimes. I'll refer to Steve Jobs, Sano, if you don't mind, because we're both, and we're friends now, so I'm gonna ding on you again here, Sano. You know, Steve said, anybody who has to use slides doesn't know what they're talking about. I've never seen so many words, but I understand. You're gonna, hey, and guys, I will send you my slides too, of which there's only 3. But they will help you implement to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars of impact, along with your profit pack, which you all get at the end of the session. So underneath idea creation and implementation, write these three words, because this is what will simplify it. Vision, communication, and accountability. Vision, communication, and accountability. So let me talk a little bit about vision. I've worked with hundreds, if not 1,000 CEOs, hundreds of associations, and in the greatest breakthroughs I've ever experienced firsthand, and people who I asked about their greatest breakthroughs, the key to growth, well, let's flip it over. The only constraint to growth is the breadth and depth of Justin's vision. The breadth and depth of Justin's vision, of John's vision, of Aaron's vision. Guys, even the top producers are guys with 30,000, 40,000 acres. On a scale of 1 to 10, they're only at, by their own admission, they're only at 6.2. Okay, they're not even anywhere near their potential of accounting best practice, financial, I mean, there's still improvements there that will help them manage their resources. The most brilliant comment I want everybody to read is on page 18 of this document, and when Carmen said, people have got to understand what a dollar is, how to manage your resources. And what ASI did for us is it transformed, well, the way I can manage Stan. Because she tells a really cute story in there where she says, you know, $1 can be invested in Pfizer and you'll get 13 back. Or you could do it with land and get 14 cents back. Or you could do it with this. Or you could buy a truck and it dies. Stan understands that now, right? So the point is, with visioneering, and that's really, in fact, you all need to go out there and check out that Hagie sprayer. That is literally the result of ideation that began, I remember the phone call on December 28th with Alan Hagie and I. And we were just dreaming about what's potential with R&D about 2.5 years ago. And I said, Alan, why the constraint? If you had the perfect team, what would it look like? What would it look like, feel like, smell like? Where would they work? How would they act? How would they work together? What would the verve, what would the culture of that team be versus our culture, which is the 6th best place to work at in Iowa now? Zappos, Tony Hsieh, the founder of Zappos, said that they were one of the 2 best companies in a year of several hundred to come through as far as their culture, all part of his vision. But that very machine was a result of the creation of an R&D team that happened almost in lightning speed in a matter of weeks. And you guys can move that quick. Don't go slow. So what in regards to your vision, you have 3 aspects of it. A vision for your self-development, a vision for your team development, and a vision here for FFG. And every one of you is responsible for all 3. And the greatest constraint to your growth, young man, is the breadth and depth of even your vision. Think big. That is one of the greatest sins that I have to fight as an advisor is small thinking. Not negative thinking, small thinking. Negative thinking can be very strategic and positive. So next, let's move to creation, which is really, in this process, we're an association of relationships. Intimate, personal, trusting, open relationships. And we have to have an openness and a process of communication that strategically helps us to grow. And the 3 areas that this applies is 1, on a semi-annual basis here in these conferences. And that's why I say, if you're not making 6 figures this week, don't come back. If you're not making 6 figures this week, don't come to the semi-annual conferences. It's not worth it. Okay, you should be here to have fun and money. But then, ideally, in optimal strategic communication, this is more of a strategic level, brainstorming, broad goal setting. But then there should be quarterly checkpoints to check your progress, realign those goals, maybe redefine them as needed on a quarterly basis. That is what the peer groups do. And you should be looking at the peer group meetings on about a quarterly basis, a few times a year, at realignment. On a monthly basis, it's your partners, your spouse, your other family members. That's where every month you should be looking through your 7 essential areas of objectives and making sure you're making progress as needed. And then delegating as is appropriate or reaching out for help. So those are your points of communication, that if you're doing those with a good vision and a set of clear objectives, now we can look at implementation and accountability. And this is the missing element. But if you get this, you've got it. And again, this is one of the unique aspects of FFG. T-Pen and all these imitation BS pieces of junk that are out there, and I had a couple of you drop in my ear about how irritated you are with some of them, don't have the intimacy of relationship and accountability that we do. And it's probably going to be pretty hard for them to copy because it's an aspect of our culture, it's an aspect of our philosophy, and it's an aspect of our process. And the first part of our advantage is our coaches. Our coaching staff, as you'll read about, is responsible for making change where the disciplines weren't originally there. But because you knew that Jeff Hafferkamp was coming back and holding you accountable, Eric, or whoever you're being coached by. Who's your coach? Jim. And Jim's going to hold you accountable, all right? We still need to innovate and improve on those relationships yet, nonetheless. Too often, you guys are beating up on the coaches about the complaints we have. Instead, you need to be ideating more and more strategically. And we'll talk more about how to do that. But the coaches is one of three key accountability relationships. Number two are your colleagues. And you get that with the peer groups, which every one of you needs to identify a peer group. As you'll read, and I heard it point blank, if you're not signed up in the appropriate peer group, you're walking past potentially 7 figures every other year. You've got to be in a peer group. And sure, the highest and most expensive might be a $12,000 to $20,000 annual incremental investment. But you should be getting that back in spades, as Betsy does every time she goes. So if you don't believe me, talk to Betsy. And then finally, your last point of accountability, as we just set up for your shopping pleasure here, is your spouse. And there is power in this group in the women. I want to go back to these interviews I had. Oh my gosh, the quality of what was said was best said by the women. They got to the point quicker. I had to coach out of these guys because we got a problem in this group. I've never said this in regards to innovation to any group in my 25 years of running Echelon Management. I always say, in regards to innovation, that the sire of all virtue is humility. I love this group because of the humility. I love Alan because of his humility. But I've never had to say this. Our humility is getting in the way of our growth. We are too humble, Justin Crownover. You need to brag about what got you there, Aaron. You need to brag, Eric, about what got you there, Stan. And almost every single person, in fact, you'll read a few quotes. I typed it up verbatim. Kyle says, oh, Mark, you don't want to put that in there. That'll come off like I'm bragging. No, Kyle, they need to read that, okay? You know, we are all avatars to each other. And Kyle can learn from our newest member today things that will make him money, and he knows that. And he's looking forward to talking to you. But we cannot be so shameful or overly humble about our successes anymore. We can't afford to. There's a process I'll share with you that I've instituted at dozens of CEO roundtables and other innovation roundtable type groups that are like our peer groups that I think we can inject a little bit into our processes that we have. And I'm just going to blurt it out there this simply because it's this simple. In fact, you can repeat after me what I'd say. The good, the bad, and the new, and the difference between the two. What'd I just say?
The good, the bad, and the difference between the two.
You got it, okay? So if he can learn it, we can all learn it. The good, the bad, the new, and the difference between the two. Now, what that means is that at every peer group where you get together with your peers, you need to be responsible for bringing a success that you hope that the others might learn from. You need to bring a problem, the bad, that you want help on. And you need to bring a new idea you haven't even implemented yet and share that as well. Okay? You bring those three things, it's impossible not to grow. But you got to bring all three. You can't be too humble, and you can't be too ashamed. In fact, I love the quote that Crownover gave me. That's on page, I think, 9. And he says, "I love hearing about Matt Ward's failures." Where's Matt? I told Matt, I said, there he is. I said this whole area of being too humble, it's a real problem for everybody in this group except Matt. Not really, actually. Even, I had to draw a lot of this stuff out of you guys. It took, the guys especially. But the point is this process of accountability, of ideation with your colleagues, with your family, with your partners, and with FFG has got to get more systemic in the sharing of the good, the bad, and the new. And what the difference between the two means is every meeting, like I said when I opened up, let's not leave on Thursday or Friday without you identifying 3 areas of implementation that'll be worth 6 figures in your business, okay? Even if you're new in perspective, and I know you're going to join. But the point is you've got to walk out of here with that and the accountability. You got to be talking about this with your spouse and with some sort of peer group and coming and committing. If you're a member, you only get to join and participate. If you're not getting a lot of value out of this group, you got to ask yourself why. Because everybody I talk to who participates gets a lot of value out of this. I've got over 15 different areas in this profit pack, almost every one of which has 6-figure impact. Okay? And even the most participation avatars, Kyle, aren't participating in everything. So you've got opportunity. And you're going to hear about it from here throughout this week. He's a man on a mission. Almost blew up our committee meeting the other day. Okay, so our action is quite simply this. You're going to take this workbook, and you're going to read through it, block off a half hour, go to the pool, grab a beer maybe. That might stimulate and enjoy the process of reading this with a highlighter. And there's a high-tech little tool I'm going to show you here. It's called the dog ear. You just bend a page. It looks real important. That's huge. So you do that, and then you're going to identify at least 3 members that you want to talk to, either from this or just people you see and you want to go meet them. 3 minimum. And you're going to ask, share with me one of your top successes, share with me one of your top challenges, and vice versa. Both ways, even if you're brand new or very, very young man, get out there and learn. And then finally, do we have 10 minutes? Great, okay. We're going to end this in a very different way. Dr. Marshall Goldsmith is a colleague of mine who's best-selling author of What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And he and his colleague and a close friend of mine, Frank Wagner, taught me this feed-forward exercise that we're going to do right now. Because we're going to hit the ground running right now. And what Marshall Goldsmith has proven, even scientifically, is that it's very hard to change behavior. So if you're going to do it, you've got to have accountability. It's got to be a monthly progress. It's got to be measured on a semi-annual basis. And people have got to be open to listen. And so the feed-forward, in fact, you can put up that slide now. I think I will use that slide. The feed-forward exercise is this simple. And I'll bet that Jeff institutes it at the meetings here from here on, because once you get a taste of how quickly you can learn and get ideas and start implementing and making more money, it's kind of addictive. So here's what it is. I want you to identify one thing that you want to get better at. And even you, Jeff, one thing you want to get better at. Even you, Sano, one thing you want to get better at. Write it down. And you're going to talk to at least 3 people, but whoever talks the most gets a little prize. And we're going to close this session by doing a feed-forward exercise. And here's how it works. You go grab Carmen, and you say, hey, Carmen, let's go. I want to get better at, and this could be something that could be a leadership behavior or something you want to improve on your farm. And Carmen, she may not know the answer, but she's going to give you an answer, and what are you going to say?
Thank you.
Yes, exactly. You're not going to say, yeah, but, oh, I can't, I tried that. No, you shut up and say thank you. All right? That's it. No judgment. All right? And then you're going to go to, and then you reverse the thing. Justin's going to give his thing he wants to get better at, and you're going to give him an idea, and then you go to the next person. And do this as fast as you can. So does everybody have something? You got your pen? You got your paper? All right. We're going to close very casually in an unusual way, but I want you to make money with this. All right? Okay. Stand up. Get ready. You too. Try to go to somebody you don't know. Move around a little bit. On your mark. Get set. Go. All right, back to your seats. Did you get some ideas? Yeah. You gonna make some more money? Yeah. That exercise is not for people who are perfect. So we had a few perfect people not to participate. That's all right. No, I'm teasing. But bottom line, okay, you got the feel. You know what that felt like? It was fun, it was invigorating, and it'll be valuable. And we need that happening every single hour throughout this conference, whether it's by the poolside, the bar, or over lunch, okay? Now, I'm going to pull up Kyle, Justin Crownover, Dr. Stoneman, and who else did I have on here? Jim Sladek. So I'm just going to have these guys, if you could come to the center here, and I could just put them in front of you to just let them speak out some of the words they had. Like, for example, the seed deal. We were a bit frustrated in Brighton that more people didn't take advantage of the seed deal. Now, I was empathetic to you guys who said no, because some of the most expensive seed is free seed, right? Old adage. And we've been given a lot of junk over the years. But hey, if you're doing seed germination testing, which is also in the deal here, you're not about to get screwed, okay? So the seed guys, Justin, how did the Funk seed perform? Was it what?
It was farm average.
Farm average.
Yeah.
So, and you bought about how many bags?
750 bags.
750 bags, saving $50 a bag or something like that. That adds up to maybe $30,000+.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it a good deal?
Yes.
You'll do it again?
Sure.
You trust the home office on it? On seed choices?
Well.
With seed germination testing and
Yes.
so forth? Yes.
Yeah.
We're not going to give them a blank check, right? Now, did you do the seed deal too?
Yep.
Kyle? And how did it perform?
Good. Farm average. Very comparable.
And you plant probably a large national brand. Yeah. And did it hold up to the large national brand?
Yeah, it did a good job.
And you're probably pretty close to that large national brand for reasons we don't have to discuss here, Mr. Dealer,
right,
seed dealer.
Right.
But
Yeah, something like, allegedly.
You seed dealer still bought Funk Seed because you're a participation guy.
Yeah.
Because you're a team guy. Did it make you money?
Yeah.
And it was pretty big.
Yeah.
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 It wasn't like $10,000. It
No,
was,
no,
yeah,
it's significant.
it was a
And
net win.
we sold some actually too.
Exactly. What was the other thing I wanted to talk about here? Crop insurance, Justin Stoneman and Jim Sladek. Okay, Justin, what do you got to say about these guys that we work with that do our crop insurance? I mean, crop insurance is just a commodity, right? Sure. I mean, you get the same thing anywhere. It's the same price. It's just a commodity.
It is, and it's...
No, I'm going to argue with that. Yeah. Service makes a difference. That's what you told me.
Big difference, yeah. Deb and her gang's got her stuff together.
How big of a difference did it make to your bottom line because of that service differential?
Well, luckily we're not using a lot of the crop insurance and what it provides us because we got a great crop coming. But had we have had a situation, it would have paid out huge. She found a plan that was out there that we didn't know was out there, a wind crust freeze policy on our sugar beets that we'd never heard of. So we implemented that, and we were positioned really good for any of those three events had they occurred. It would have been huge.
Yes. And Jim, how's your experience been with it?
Well, I'm going to have to steal Kyle's soapbox and get up on it and
Yeah.
promote our crop insurance products that we offer. I've been in this group for 8 years, and initially we started offering crop insurance, and many of us took advantage of that. There were some issues. We've upgraded the quality of our products dramatically. Deb has done a great job as far as knowledge, products, service, and previously, it was difficult to recommend our own products to other members. Mm-hmm. Today, I can do that unequivocally because we have a great product and great service, and it supports our own organization here.
3 years with over 30 years of experience? Or 3 people with over 30 years of experience?
And they've got regional diversity, and she understands what they're selling.
Yeah.
And if I look at the potential that has to drive revenue for our own business that we all own, we left $1.2 million of our own money, cash, not notes receivable, cash every year. We're leaving on the table because we don't participate as an organization to the level that we possibly could.
Right to the FFG bottom line. But let's go back, what's in it for me if you're a skeptical member out there. And I heard that Ann worked for 7 years at, what's it called, the RNA or?
RMA.
RMA. And because of that, she actually knows who to call, what to ask, and can make things happen. Now, yeah, your agent at home is your brother-in-law, and you're committed to him, but does he have that experience? And is he do that research? Does he focus on working with the big grower? Okay, not so much. Guys, you're probably losing money every few years by not working with the individually, by not working with the FFG crop insurance team.
Mark, to me, that's one of the areas that is easy to participate. There's no logistical issues of delivery of services across our teams. It's a commodity, and it's our own dollars that we're leaving on the table. Just imagine in the last several years, $1.2 million a year, whether you're an investor, whether you're a client, look at the potential, the value proposition, the amount of offerings and things that family farms could do for our own members with $1.2 million a year.
Amazing innovations. We got to keep moving here, so I'm going to move to Grant Champions. Now, how's it been working with, Bruce and Janet?
Bruce and Janet. Yeah, that's more my dad's box. So.
Oh, okay.
But it's been well. I mean, it's been a good process. I mean, we're trying to take advantage of things that we would have never been positioned to take advantage of. So it's been great to have them as part of the team, and look forward to what it's rewarded us an opportunity to do a lot of lighting upgrades in our shop and office, and that's going to be a huge payback for us.
And what's it cost you to get those grants?
It doesn't cost us anything.
Oh, that's a benefit.
The process, they're rewarded based off of our reward.
Yeah.
So
you've had some benefits from the grant effort?
Oh yeah, we've benefited dramatically from the grants.
Like how many hundreds of thousands of dollars?
It'd be several.
Oh, don't be shy here. It's like 400,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, $500,000 in some cases already. Bruce and Janet have $1.5 million in the funnel, and already they've gotten $500,000 approved already, and the service is, how's their service? Have you worked?
I have not personally worked with them.
Yeah.
But we've got, 2 great people to work with.
You did, yeah.
They've had tremendous success, and their track record is very good. So,
yes.
I haven't personally worked with them, but I would suggest that anybody in our organization.
And the odds are, from what I heard, is that most of you could be getting grant money, which is just profits to the bottom line. And we've got to leverage that resource that we have there in Brighton. Guys, there's dozens of other areas I could go into. This was just a sampling to give you a flavor. I want you to read this profit doc that you're going to get and begin the 3-step process at the bottom. And I guarantee, you can read about my guarantee at the bottom of the page, that you will make that incremental 6 figures over the next couple of years if you follow that process. Thanks a lot, guys. We've got to pass it on to Jeff now. Thank you, guys, for coming up here.